Dude, I love that you're doing this. Like, seriously.
It's neat, huh? Ooh, yeah. Do you like hearing yourself? I'm going to be honest, I kind of like hearing myself.
When I had the headphones, I loved it.
Oof.
Yeah.
I'm going to get like the headphone splitter.
But you know what happens to me?
Uh-huh.
Every time, like, my voice is very, how can I say this? Like, very squeaky.
Yeah.
Every time I'm on the phone, they are like, "Oh, yes, miss."
No way.
Yeah, and sometimes I pretend that I'm a woman.
Is that embarrassing, or are you comfortable enough to just roll with it?
Like, when I was younger, it was embarrassing.
Oh, that was a loud motorcycle. Got some sons of anarchies out here. Sorry about that.
Yeah, when I was younger, it was embarrassing, but right now I don't care. I just go with it.
It's just the way your life is.
And they treat me better.
No way.
Yes. Yeah, they're like, "Oh, we'll handle that for you, ma'am."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much."
That's so sick.
That's cool.
Okay, so.
All right.
So this is Neto. I've known Neto for a few years, maybe 3, 4, 5.
I think like 4 or 5 years.
It's been a minute now. Yeah.
It's been a while.
And it's flown by. It doesn't feel very long, but when you look back, it has been a decent amount of time.
Yeah, I think like 4 years, for sure.
So Neto is a very talented young gentleman. Neto is like my go-to Google answer guy. You know, when I first started wanting to do the vlog thing and now with the podcast thing, I always run to Neto for help when I don't know what I'm doing. I don't like to read. I just watch things. Sometimes I can't retain watching it. I need to see things in front of me. So when I first started doing the videos, Neto came down to California Street, drove like 2 hours, maybe 3 in traffic from LA.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Just to sit there and like do nothing with me and just kind of guide me and watch. Like I do watch like 10 of my videos I had not put out yet, just so I can hear you tell me if they were good or not.
Yeah, I remember them. They were like extremely long, like on one part. And I was like, wow, make it a little shorter.
Right.
Because you lost my attention, like in those.
Yeah. And so it helped me out a ton. And so now Neto has been finally making videos, and he's been doing them in Spanish, and you're going to be doing them in English.
Yeah, I will.
They're so good, and I don't speak Spanish. I know a little bit, I listen a little bit, but I read the subtitles. There's subtitles, so if you're speaking English, you can read it, and they're worth it, and they're still good. But so you grew up in Mexico. Where in Mexico did you come from?
I am...
Mexico City?
No, I'm from a small town near Mexico City. Okay. It's 2 hours north from Mexico City. So Mexico City is right in the center, right?
Right.
So 2 hours north, and it's called Querétaro. It's a super small town.
Yeah.
I grew up there. It's amazing. Like, everyone knows each other. Like, you go out to buy a soda, and you'll run into someone.
Just small town.
Super small town.
That's cool.
But super clean, nice people. But... yeah, it was fun there, but I couldn't do what I was passionate about.
Yeah. Especially with marketing, like such a small town, there is no...
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like my town, like I went to school for graphic design first. Right. I finished college, and then I went to school for photography as well.
Right.
But I worked in a graphic design agency, and the only...
In that town?
In that town.
Oh, shit.
The only thing we did was doing logos for, I don't know how you call it in English, but like there's like places where they have like a bunch of homes, like gated communities.
Oh, like gated community, yeah.
And they have like their own logo. So that's what I used to do like all the time. And
okay,
at first,
so you're proficient in Illustrator and Photoshop?
Yeah, that's what I do, like mainly like graphic design.
So how'd you get in that? Just dabbling as a kid? MySpace? HTML?
Dude, I loved MySpace.
Yeah. That's where everyone starts with that type of career.
Dude, I loved it, and I
you had the best profile. You had like...
Of course, I had to have the best profile.
You had like a longer song list than everyone else.
And I was like a scene kid.
Yeah.
Like emo. I was into emo.
That was your scene.
Punk.
MySpace was the scene.
Dude, yeah, totally. So then, but before that, I knew I wanted to be a graphic designer.
Right.
Because I went to New York when I was 13 years old.
Whoa, how'd you make that happen?
Well, back then, flights were very cheap.
Right.
And I had an uncle living in New York.
Oh, cool.
So he was like, yeah, whenever you want to check out like United States and New York, like just come over.
Yeah.
My parents are separated, so I was living with my mom, and she said, yeah, if you want to go like for the summer, like just go. Just like get
At 13, that'd be so fucking cool.
That was amazing.
That's crazy.
But I had to work to get that money, right?
Yeah.
So I worked in a supermarket. In Mexico, you can work like at supermarkets when you're young.
Loose.
Yeah, like you can. Yeah,
Oh,
there's
so
like you can
cool.
do whatever.
It's
you
the
want.
Wild West down there.
I love it over there. But then I went to New York, and I was a very naive guy, like a very naive. In Mexico, we don't get like a lot of like stuff like from other parts of the world, right? So I went there like to the big city. I'm like, what is this? Like, it's amazing, right? So my uncle is like, hey, you should check out the Modern Museum of Art. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll go. I went there and I saw Andy Warhol's
Oh, like little pop art stuff.
Yeah, the pop art. I'm like, what is this? And I've been missing like so much from life, right?
Wow.
So then I became obsessed with Andy Warhol.
Me too. What
Yeah?
age? Like 13?
I was 13.
That's so cool.
I was 13.
Because his stuff just hit so hard. I'd never seen it with just like solid screen printed colors. Like it was just
Yeah.
like pink. I was like, whoa, you know,
Yes.
like yeah, I was totally into that too.
Dude, I loved it. So I became obsessed. I researched his movies, everything.
Yeah.
And of course, like Wikipedia, right?
Yeah.
And it said he was a photographer, graphic designer, and marketing guy.
That's Neto.
So I'm like, that's the life I want.
Yeah.
So then I went to college, 4-year college for graphic design.
It was in that small town still, or did you make your way out?
No, over there in
Okay.
in my small town.
Uh-huh.
So I
So it
finished
couldn't have been
that.
that small of a town then.
Well, yeah, it's not that small, but it's small.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I went to graphic design school, and I had a very clear, like in my mind, I knew exactly what I wanted. I finished graphic design, and I'm like, now I need to learn photography. So I went to a 2-year school for photography,
Whoa.
and I think I was like 21 years old,
Yeah.
or 22. And back then, I'm 32 right now.
Yeah.
So that was like 10 years ago. I still had my film camera.
Yeah.
And I was like that like hipster guy that was like, I'm never going to take a digital picture. I don't want a digital camera.
Right.
Like film is life and shit
Right.
like that, right? And I was like extremely passionate about that.
But there is like a romance to film.
It's amazing.
You know
I
what I
still
mean?
love it. I still shoot.
Yeah.
With
but
film?
it's expensive and it's not convenient and it's just it's not digital.
Definitely not convenient. Like
Yeah.
when you were hired to do a photo shoot.
Right.
And especially, I'm a very anxious person.
Yeah.
So I need to know that the picture is great because
Yeah.
they're paying me to do that picture, right?
Right.
So yeah, I went to photography class. I used my film camera during the whole 2 years.
Oh wow.
I was like a rebel there because they were like digital started coming up like
Mm-hmm.
the first year I was in school. They were like, you guys need to buy a digital camera.
So were you guys developing like film in class and
Yeah,
stuff?
like we were developing our film and pictures like
Okay,
in
cool.
the dark room.
Yeah.
So I love that process, right? And then they said, you guys need to buy a digital camera. I'm like, hell no. Like,
Yeah.
that's not art. Like,
Yeah.
film, like, smell the film. Like, you cannot smell like a sensor, right?
Right.
I was that kind of guy.
I
But-
love that though. I
It
think that's
was
so
great.
cool.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool.
I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved it. But then, yeah, they let me do my projects in film, in film.
Right.
So that was it. I still worked at the graphic design agency, but I always knew I wanted more. I'm like, I cannot stay in this town. Like, there's nothing else I'm gonna do rather than those logos from those gated communities.
Yeah, it gets old quick.
Yeah, it gets super old. So then I remember this friend of mine from that small city. She went to live to Mexico City. Mexico City is like New York,
Yeah,
like the
you're in
biggest
New York,
city,
you're
right?
LA, your thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So she went to live there, and I stayed in my small town. And she was like, "Hey, I'm working for Vans,
Mm-hmm.
the shoe
so
company."
You've been connected kind of since then.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
okay.
she told me, "I know you take pictures.
Mhm.
Can I send you some shoes? Because I need some pictures of this lady that's in the small town, right?"
Right.
I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." And she said, "I cannot pay you anything." I'm like, "I don't care. I was young and I didn't need the money, right?"
Yeah.
So
Did you get to keep the shoes?
what's that?
Did you get to keep the shoes?
No,
Oh.
No, like she just used me. Like she was like, I know you take pictures, so we're gonna send some shoes to the girl, and then you just take the pictures and
Okay.
send us back the pictures.
Oh, okay, I get it.
And I was too shy to ask, like, can I get some shoes?
Mm.
I've learned my lesson. Like, if you don't ask, you don't get, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I learned it the hard way, because like half of my life I was like too shy, like to ask for things, until recently, like just 2 years ago.
But maybe that helped because then it's like you're like overwhelmingly humble and like, ooh, I just want to help this guy. He's not asking
Yeah.
for shit.
That's
maybe that
true.
was a good niche that you didn't
That's
know
true.
you had back then. You know what I mean?
That's true, because
Yeah.
most of my clients, they're like, especially here in LA,
Right.
they are like, we can hire anyone because there's a bunch of photographers.
Right.
There's a bunch of graphic designers. There's way better graphic designers and photographers than you, but you're extremely, like, you're humble.
Yeah.
And you
They wanna
want to
with
work.
you. Yeah.
And you take great pictures. Like, I'm not saying like you're a bad photographer, but like you're very humble. Like, you're nice. So I
Right.
think that shyness like kind of like helped.
Absolutely.
But okay, so yeah, I shot those pictures, and then like a year later, this girl is like, okay, I'm in a better position at Vans. Do you want to work with us freelance, like a job a month? I'm like, yeah. What do I need to do? Just shoot portraits.
Are you traveling to Mexico City?
To Mexico
this
City.
time? Okay.
Yeah, I traveled once to Mexico City. I did some portraits. I never heard of them, like even if they liked the pictures. So I'm like, okay, so I guess.
Were you like stressing on the whole thing if you did a good job or not, or?
I was stressing out.
Yeah.
I'm very anxious, as I told you. Like, I'm freaking out. Like, they haven't replied.
So that month is like a year at that point.
Yeah, no, it was insane. So I'm like, okay, I don't like Mexico City, so I decided to move to LA, and that was 5 years ago.
Damn. So I didn't know you were that new.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
When we met,
Yeah.
I was just
Maybe
just
a year.
like, no, not even a year.
Damn.
I think I was like, well, yeah, maybe a year or like 6 months.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But then you had came to the U.S. and gotten tattoos prior, right? You had some tattoos that were healed on you for a while.
I had tattoos in Mexico. I always loved tattoos.
Right.
So in but it's very different in Mexico.
But did you ever, before you came to the U.S. 5 years ago or so, did you ever visit like L.A.?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
before I moved here, I visited LA.
Okay.
My brother lives here.
Okay.
So it was a good excuse, like, to come visit.
Absolutely.
And even though we don't have like the best relationship like before,
Mm-hmm.
like I knew like he would like.
It's good enough connection to have a place to crash.
Yeah,
excuse to come to
exactly,
LA.
exactly.
That's all you need.
And he was fine with it.
Yeah.
So I came to LA, and I was walking through Melrose Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
and I was looking at all the tattoo shops. And the cool thing is, like, here in LA, you have specific tattoo shops for specific type of tattoos, like traditional, right? Like, there's a shop for traditional art.
Right.
There's a shop for portraits. In Mexico, we don't have that. So the tattoos I had from Mexico are like done by a guy that is not into traditional
Just a
tattoo.
street shop. They'll do anything.
Exactly. They'll do anything. And I would come with my images like, can you do something bold?
Yeah.
And they're like, I mean, I guess like I could just like pass like more lines over. Because they don't know, right? Like, they're not like you guys. Like
That's not fair to say. I'm sure there's some solid tattooing happening.
well, no, right now there is.
Especially because of Instagram too. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Instagram changed everything.
Instagram, I think, colonized the globe.
Yeah.
Where everyone's kind of on the same
No,
page
right now there's
Yeah.
traditional tattoo shops in Mexico, like very good ones.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was like, no.
At least on your radar, there wasn't. Yeah.
In my hometown, there was only 2 tattoo shops.
Yeah.
Like, one was the owner was my friend who was a skater,
Mhm.
and I used to skate with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, and he was like 20 years older than me.
Oh, shit.
But he was like, yeah, I have the shop. I can tattoo you even if you're underage. So I got my first tattoo underage.
Sick. What did you
So,
get? What was your first one?
My first tattoo is the logo of Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, is it on your leg or something?
No, that's on my rib.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I remember it. Okay.
And
yeah.
I'm so happy I still listen to Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah. I saw Billy Corgan at Sun Cafe a couple months ago.
No way.
Did I tell you that?
No.
So I was. So we were eating at Sun Cafe, me and Yessie,
Uh-huh.
and it's totally Billy Corgan. Like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no one else.
Of course, no.
It looks
You can
like-
tell. You
yeah,
can
it
tell.
looks like
Yeah.
him. And I'm like, oh shit, it's Billy Corgan. And so my wife's like, who? I'm like, Billy Corgan. And she's like, who? And I'm like, the world is a vampire. And she's like, oh, the Sea Shepherds. Because she loves that show and like that intro song.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's the singer. And she's like, no way. And I'm like, yeah. And it was cool. Like, I'm not
Did
one.
you say hi?
No,
Or-
I didn't. I'm not. I don't know. I guess I'm not one to like. I'm sure there's enough people saying hi
Yeah.
for me. You know what I mean? It was just cool to spot them in the wild. That's
I,
how am with the
I would say hi.
celebrities.
Like if I see any other artists.
Everyone
or,
has a few that you have to, right?
I only have 2.
Right.
Like Billy Corgan, of course.
and who
Like
else?
anyone from Smashing Pumpkins.
Right.
And Blink 182.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I grew up with Blink
that
182.
seems like not too hard to come by, though. Travis
I've
Barker's around and stuff.
never run into
Really?
them in LA. Never. And I've been dying to take pictures of their show. Just because I want
it's
like
gonna happen with you in this scene and doing what you're doing. It's gonna happen.
I think so. Well, I think so. I hope so.
It will.
But I don't listen to them like as I used to before. I mean, I love them still.
When you put on the music, it brings you right back. It doesn't matter.
Of course. And I still listen like to things I used to listen when I was 14, 15, when I was skateboarding, you know? Right. And Blink-182 and Smashing Pumpkins.
I think for me, it would be, well, Will Ferrell for sure.
Really?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Okay.
I love that dude. So, him. Well, all right, so I guess I've seen a lot of celebrities, so I'll go over a couple that I have seen that I did fan out to. Uh-huh. So I saw, when I was working in the same place as you in Hollywood, I saw Keith Morris from like Off and Circle Jerks and Black Flag and stuff.
Nice.
And he was actually, I went to Amoeba after work. And they're like, oh, all right, everyone give it up to our resident DJ tonight, Keith Morris. And I was like, what? And I looked by and he's got big old dreads. And I'm like, that's him, you know?
That's so cool.
And I went up there. I was all excited. And I went and like just wanted to kind of like shake his hand. And he gave me like a fist bump instead.
Okay.
And he's like, you want to take a pphoto? I'm like, no, it's cool. And this is the time when I had that flip phone for like a year.
Oh, dude, I remember.
Yeah. And I was like, nah, man. He's like, you sure you don't want to take a picture together?
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, I just got a flip phone. He's like, oh, all right, man, you know. And then after that, it was like, he must have lived there because when I'd go out there to work every Friday, I swear I'd see him. Like I saw him at Veggie Girl once. I saw him I think he was in that vicinity.
Yeah.
I remember one time me and Sean were walking, and Keith Morris was walking towards us. And he's wearing a Circle Jerk, or no, he was wearing a Germs t-shirt at the Circle. Okay. You know what I mean? The blue circle with like the skull with the mohawk ripping out. And it was cool. It was like an old shirt, you know. That's it's cool. Like he was flexing. He's had that shirt since that shirt was printed, probably. And and Sean's like, "Cool shirt, man." He's like, "Thanks, man." And I was like, "You don't know who that is?" And he's like, "No." And like, of course, Sean didn't know. And that was kind of cool. So,
but you didn't say hi that time.
Just like, hey, you know, whatever. But I didn't even like try to like, you know, do you remember me? It was nothing like that. And then I saw Ed Templeton last year at a Veg Fest.
Okay, nice.
And I was like really excited about that. And he's with his wife Deanna. And like I love Ed for like skateboarding, photography. He's just the coolest dude. You know what I mean? Course. Even like his Instagram stories are incredible. You know what I mean? So I went on my way and I was like, hold on, I have to go say hi. And my friend's like, you want to take a photo? I'm like, no. And so I just ran up. I'm like, hey, Ed. And he like looks over. I'm like, hey, man, I just want to let you know I'm a really big fan. Yeah. I don't want to bug you. I just want to let you know, like, appreciate you. Thank you for being you. Rad. And he's like, all right, man, cool. And I was like, yeah, take care. By the way, like, that over there is really good. You should try that. Like, you know?
Yeah.
And then that was it. And then we'd like seen, it was a pretty small setup of like vegan little pop-ups. And so I kept seeing him and he'd be like, you know, kind of wave. And
nice.
And it was that's what it was. But yeah, so the people I have fanned out to were Ed Templeton and Keith Morris. And I think there's like a few
other ones.
Maybe nothing I could think of because there's big celebrities I'd seen that I didn't give a shit about.
No, I don't give a shit about.
But yeah, I think everyone has a couple.
Yeah. Oh, and I just remembered last week I saw Davey Havoc from AFI.
Yeah. Cool.
I go every Tuesday.
Being a scene kid, did you fan out?
Dude, of course. I had to.
That's cool.
Because I saw him and I told my wife like that's a guy from AFI.
Right.
And she was like, "Go say hi." I'm like, no, I just like gotten very nervous.
You're all blushing.
And it was at this place we go to. It's a vegan tacos.
Oh, is this the one you were talking about, the food truck?
I told you, like we have to go there.
Is it Tuesdays or something?
I think Tuesdays and Fridays or Saturdays.
If it's Saturdays, I'm gonna be in Burbank this Saturday.
Oh yeah, I'll let you know.
All right, let me know.
I don't remember if it's Friday or Saturday. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
We love those tacos.
Yeah. You told me about this place like 6 months ago.
Dude, I love tacos.
Yeah.
And those vegan tacos are amazing.
Yeah.
So I saw him. He was like with a hoodie and everything, right? Mm-hmm. But I knew who he was.
Right.
So then we went like to eat inside a bar. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to grab some napkins. So I had to go outside. Mm-hmm. And I saw him again. I'm like, I have to say something. But he was like eating a burrito. Like, I don't want to
You don't want to give him like mid-bite.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I felt so weird, but I had to. I was like, hey, man, like, I love your band. It helped me a lot, like, when I was growing up. I saw you guys in Mexico. Yeah. I was like, oh, really? Like, how long ago? I'm like, 15, 16 years ago. He was like, oh, that was our first show.
Whoa.
Like, he was super good. He was, like, super nice, I mean.
Yeah.
He was like, what's your name? I'm Neto.
That's cool.
I wanted to say, like, hey, I'm a photographer. I would love to take pictures, but I think that was too much.
Yeah.
So I'm like, enjoy your meal. Like, thank you for your music. Thank you for everything.
Yeah.
That's it. Because of course, like I don't want to bother, you know, and I don't want to be like, oh yes, and can I take pictures of your show or shit like that? I'm like, no.
It'll happen, like especially like just I think LA, like you coming to LA is something that you had to do, like. Being in the industries that we're both in, LA is something you kind of have to have on your resume. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
And I think just being in the vicinity of LA and doing LA things and you going to shows and shooting shows and doing this and doing that, it's inevitable after so many times, you're going to run into Davey Havoc again. And he's going to be like, I saw you at the vegan taco thing and you're going to have a camera on your neck that time. Like, it's just, you just got to keep doing what you're doing and eventually that opportunity is going to pop up again. The world gets small really fast.
I know. What I mean? I'm sure about that. And, so I saw him last week. Well, that was cool.
So you come to LA and you're walking down Melrose and you see these shops and like there's traditional shops and you're like, whoa, they'll pull a bold line and one pass across my skin. What happens from there?
Okay, so yeah, I visited in LA. I got some tattoos. Then I still lived in Mexico. Mm-hmm. So I went back. I did my thing over there. I started a clothing company.
Oh, shit.
That's how I paid my college.
Really?
Selling t-shirts, just screen print.
Whoa.
And just like selling t-shirts on my town. And I did t-shirts for bands.
Oh.
So that was cool.
What was the company you had going back then called?
It was called DeLorean.
Okay, cool.
So I started doing shirts. Then I wanted to do something else. So I got into designing shoes, sneakers.
Oh.
So I've always loved like sneakers and stuff.
Right.
So I got into that. I learned how to do that. And then me and my best friend, we started the company.
Is that when I first met you? You had like studs on your shoes and stuff. You were doing that? Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we did sneakers, shoes, and we were selling them in Mexico. So we learned all the process about designing a shoe and making it happen, right?
Damn, that's incredible.
It's incredible. It's like, it's a pain in the ass though.
Especially because like, you know, companies that have been doing shoes, they've had it all figured out. And then you're trying to reinvent the wheel when it's already been invented. You're like,
exactly.
You're like at square one and
Dude,
it's gotta be hard.
It was insane. Like there's this town in Mexico, in the state of Guanajuato, where they make shoes. Okay. So everyone knows that. Like in Mexico, it's like, oh, you want shoes? Go to this place. Like they do it. They do the shoes there. So we took a bus. We arrived to the bus station in this state, in the Guanajuato, and we asked the police officer. We were like, "Do you know where they make shoes?" Mm-hmm. He's like, "No." Well, do you know like any factories around here?
Right. So you don't know shit.
We don't know shit. We just knew that we wanted to do that.
That's crazy.
So we went like knocking on doors. Like
what age are you at this point?
22.
Wow. Okay.
So, 21 or 22.
Yeah.
So we went knocking on doors. Like, hey, we see that you sell shoes. Do you know where they make them?
Right.
They were like, we like this state where you are right now. We sell the shoes. The factories are like an hour, like in another small town, right?
Right.
So we're like, okay, do you know how to get there? Like, what bus will take us? So we went there, and there's no place like that says like we make shoes here, like factories or anything.
Right.
It's like they do the shoes inside of houses, just regular homes.
Whoa.
But we learned that by knocking on doors.
And why were they doing it that way? Is it like a copyright issue that kind of underground?
Because there's a lot of like fake sneakers over there.
Right.
There's two big companies, Nike and Adidas. Yeah. They make shoes over there in that town, but they are like big factories, but they only make shoes for their brand, right? Mm-hmm. They're not gonna like take like any like two young guys saying like, hey, I want to make a brand. So
these small like places that are doing things out of a house, just manufacturing like bootleg stuff.
Bootleg.
Right. So,
because they work at the factories like that. It's a super small town.
They're like hustling from home, but they're okay. So how like big of an order did you need to place? How much money did you have to come up with? Like, how'd you do it?
Well, we didn't know anything like minimums or shit like that, right? So we knocked on this place, and the guy was like, "Yeah, come in. I'll teach you guys everything." Whoa. And this guy worked in like a big factory there. Yeah. It's like, well, in order to make a shoe, you need this. You need everything. He told us like everything. Wow. And we were like, well, how? Like, what's the minimum? Mm-hmm. And he's like, there's no minimum if you do it like with us, like in our homes. Like they have their machinery, like in the living room and stuff.
Yeah, we'll
like
make one. Who cares? Let's do it.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But of course, it's like expensive to make one.
Yeah,
right?
Of course, yeah.
So we were like, well, can we make like 50? How much would that be? It's like, well, you guys need to buy the I don't know what's it called. Is it textile?
Okay,
is that the word in English?
Yeah.
So that you guys have to choose the textiles.
And soles. And,
yeah, and we had the design like in 3D and everything.
Oh, wow.
Right? So we were like, do you know where they sell that? He's like, oh yeah, just like go around the corner.
Whoa, what a different world. This sounds like so cool.
It was amazing. It was crazy. So we got the textiles and we had like $500, like between me and my best friend who was like my business partner.
Right.
So we were like, will this help? Not even $500, maybe like $200.
Whoa.
And the thing is, like in Mexico, like $200 is worth like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, not a lot, but like, it's more money. Like you can get more stuff with $200 that you can get here.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So he was like, yeah, I can make 50 pairs of shoes.
Really? That cheap?
So we were like, okay, what sizing do we need?
That's why everyone's printing in Mexico.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
So yeah, we did shoes. They were terrible.
Yeah.
Because we knew nothing about it.
Right.
Like they were
should have probably
bad.
just did one and wore it and like seen.
Exactly.
Because now you have 50 and they all have the same problem. They're all too tight on a toe or something.
Yes, exactly. Because we didn't know shit, right?
Right.
But we learned our lesson, and we had friends that supported us. So
yeah, they're still gonna buy your crappy shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. So we sold the 50 like to friends and family.
Right.
Like even if it was not their size, they would still support.
Your grandma's got some decked out shoes.
Yeah, exactly. So we did that. Then we learned more about the industry.
Yeah.
Then this guy was like, I cannot do shoes anymore, but I'll hook you up with my cousin who has a bigger factory, but it's not as big like Nike.
Right.
So they have time like to do shoes for you.
Right.
So we did that, and I did that like for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like we released maybe like 100 different designs.
Whoa.
At one point it was selling like very good.
Wow.
But then the economy in Mexico is not so good.
Right.
So people were not buying shoes, and it was just like too hard to continue doing it. And also the people that were doing our shoes, they closed the factories because the bigger like Adidas, Nike, they were hiring them. So they had no more time to do like other
Side
projects.
hustles, yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
And we didn't have enough money like to go to China, like to make like big productions.
Right. This is still like a local situation.
Yeah. So then we had to stop.
But you kind of ended on a good note, though. I mean.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like we loved doing that. We learned a lot. We made a lot of mistakes, and
But it's cool that it kind of like funded itself throughout it. Like you kept making bigger orders and kept moving and moving and moving, and ended like, okay, cool, it worked, you know?
yeah, it was amazing. Like
Because
just
that always
like,
sucked if you made your first order and it flopped and then that was it. You know what I mean?
no. We did it for 4 years. Of course, like the first ones sucked.
Yeah, for sure.
But then they were like cool shoes, like, and
Right.
they were like they lasted long. They
Yeah.
were like cool designs. People were digging them, and then, but it just like failed.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's when I decided to move to LA. I've already been here a couple of times just vacationing. I love like skateboarding, punk rock, tattoos. I'm like,
It's like the epicenter of everything you want.
yeah, exactly.
Especially marketing and photography and stuff, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, if I stay in this town, like I cannot do like anything like bigger.
So how were you ever living in Mexico City, or was Mexico City kind of like just like what you say because it's the most familiar to people in the U.S.?
I never lived in Mexico City.
Okay, yeah. It's kind of like me living in Riverside and me traveling somewhere else. Like, where are you from? Oh, Riverside. Where's that at? Is that like LA? Yeah, it's like LA.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was your LA. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it now.
And like for instance, when a big band would play, they would go to Mexico City.
Right.
So I would go to Mexico City like every week.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
to watch a show
No, it
or
totally
something.
makes sense. Yeah.
But Mexico City like scared me. Like it's so big.
Yeah.
Like it was just scary. So I'm like, okay, let's try LA.
What about LA? Is LA like, what's that in size comparison? Is it bigger, smaller?
I think Mexico City is bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only been.
I think that definitely.
I've only been in the airport in Mexico City. I've never got to like explore Mexico. I've
It's
just been in a
crazy.
layover once, and that was it.
Yeah, it's very big.
Wow.
So before I like, because my friends were moving to Mexico City, I'm like, I don't want Mexico City. I'm just gonna move to
So
LA.
it's either a town and everyone leaves the town, goes to Mexico City. You want to do
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Might as well. If everyone's
Yeah.
doing something new, might as well you do something new and go to America.
Totally.
Right.
So I came over here, and I knew the shop where I got my tats.
Okay.
Right?
What shop is this?
It's High Seas.
Okay, cool. So High
Where I
Seas
met
is already
you.
happening at that time?
No, the owner of High Seas, Sean.
Right.
He used to work. What was the name of the tattoo shop? Freak Chic.
Oh, Freak Chic.
Yeah.
Okay. That shop's not around anymore, right?
No.
Okay.
It was in Melrose, and that's where I met Sean.
Okay.
He did like a big piece on my stomach.
Yeah, so that's
And-
where I was. Okay. Yeah, okay. I get it.
So then I moved here, and of course, like I texted him, like, "Hey, I'm in LA. Like, I want to get more tats."
Right.
I went to get another tat, and I met you. I remember because I went to the shop, and I said, "Hey, is Sean around?" And you were the one like, "Oh, he's not
Really?
here." Yeah, I remember you clearly.
That blows my mind. I thought you were like just been around.
No.
Whoa.
No, I saw you, like you opened the door for me and you're like, no, he's not here right now, but if you want, like you can come back later.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Whoa.
And then I didn't see him that day. And then he offered me a job. He's like, I know you know how to do graphic design. I want to do some shirts. And that's how I started working there. And that's how I met you.
Yeah. Man. So then you're working for Sean for a while and you're doing everything. You're doing like, you're sweeping, you're mopping, you're getting lunch, you're shipping, you're doing marketing stuff, you're doing photography, you're doing Instagram. And then, oh, man. So you start getting side hustles from that. That's your bread and butter. That's your main gig. And what are the side hustles that led from that?
Dude, a bunch. Like then there was like a lot of tattoo artists that would come and guest spot.
Right.
And then they would go to their other shops and they would be like, hey, I need shirts. I need to design something. So they would hit me up.
Damn, that's the plug. You have to connect. Yeah.
And it was crazy because when Sean offered me the job, I didn't know what I was going to do at the shop.
Right.
And then I arrived there and Pancho, black ass,
he
was like, oh, here's a broom. Like, just clean the shop.
So sick.
And I mean, I don't mind, right? And it was a different town.
You
like,
work,
I'm like, I need the money. Like, I don't care, you know? Like, I'll do it.
That makes sense why you're wearing those shoes. That was pretty fresh off the shoe game. You came out wearing your shoes.
Dude, I love shoes.
That makes sense.
But anyway, I mopped the shop. I went to get food for you guys.
Yeah. This is so cool to hear side stories. I've known you for such a long time. But I only know you currently. You know what I mean? I know a little bit about your story, but I mean, most of the times we hung out, I was working, and we were hanging out while I was working. Yeah. You know, and like even now when we hang out, we're talking about each other's work. We like. This podcast is like an excuse for me to get to know my friends more. You know what I mean? Cool. And so this is like so cool to hear. So, damn. So did Sean have intentions for you to be like the guy mopping, or did he's like, oh, well, he can do that too?
No, you know what? I think he thought I wanted to be a tattoo artist. Because you're
covered in tattoos. You're at the shop.
And at one point he said, I'll teach you everything. Mm-hmm. And I think I made a mistake by saying, I don't want to be a tattoo artist.
Right.
Because, I mean, no, but no, that was not a mistake. It was good. I didn't want to be a tattoo artist. Right. Because I respect that art, right? Yeah. And you guys are amazing, and I love photography. That's not my thing. But I didn't know I was going to mop or get you guys Taco Bell or whatever, right? Right. Well, there was another guy, Eric. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah,
who was like, go get Taco Bell. And I would like go on my skateboard and get Taco Bell. But then I started, like, Sean said, like, hey, let's do more shirts, let's do more projects. I'm like, yeah, we can do this, we can do that. So then I did the whole mopping thing and getting lunch like for a year. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, nah, dude, like, let's do marketing. Like, let's get you on that. Let's get someone else to mop, and let's do shirts, let's do videos, let's do pictures. I'm like, yeah, I have so many ideas. Yeah. And as a photographer, I knew my camera recorded video. Mm-hmm.
But you never used that function?
Never.
See, I'm backwards. Like, with my camera, I've never taken photos with it.
Really?
All my photos are on my cell phone.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
I don't even know how to take a photo.
Yeah.
I just press record and cross my fingers.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew photography. And I don't know if you remember, like, I would take pictures at the shop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I remember even, like when, I mean, a couple of the only photos I have of me tattooing you had taken while I was painting, or the one I was tattooing Melanie Martinez. You took a photo of that.
I did.
Yeah, you'd capture moments that, you know, otherwise wouldn't have been captured. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to do that, but then I got into video. Mm-hmm. I learned how to shoot video, so we started doing more projects. Mm-hmm. So I was not like mopping, which I didn't mind, you know, because coming here, it was like not being born again, but you start from zero again. Right. And everything, like the language, the culture, was overwhelming. Like, I couldn't say anything. Like, I was anxious, right? Yeah. Like, everything was different. Even, like, the language barrier was crazy.
You're pretty fluent in English, weren't you?
I think right now. I think, like, when we met, I would still be like, what did you say? Like, what do you mean? Like, I still say that. Like, a couple of minutes ago, I was like, what do you mean by that? Right. But, yeah, so it was scary. But I wanted to work. Yeah. So yeah, that was cool. That's when I met you. I met a bunch of other really cool people I still hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, like job opportunities just came, like from you guys. Then I got like more confident, like being in a different country and doing my thing.
Well, and just in your abilities, you know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
do a good job, then after a while, you know that you did a good job, and you know what your worth is, and you could pull a little bit more weight and feel more comfortable.
Exactly.
You could start asking for things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So then, that job opened like a bunch of opportunities. Then the clients, they played in a band or something, so they were like, "Oh, take pictures of our concert. Like, we'll pay you in beer and we'll give you $100 or something like that."
Right.
So then I got a portfolio of that here in LA. So then, I started growing on gigs like that, and now that's what I do. Like, I shoot concerts, I shoot a lot of fashion, portraits, things like that.
Is photography still like your main gig? Do you like video? How is it? Because you kind of have to know how to do both now. It's like,
yeah, like especially right now.
Yeah.
There's so many talented people that you need.
You need to know everything.
You need to know everything.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, it's cool that I went to school for graphic design, for photography, and then when I came here, I went to UCLA. I took a 1-year course on marketing because I wanted like to know like the whole deal.
Yeah, it sounds like everything's kind of come together so
Everything.
conveniently, you know? And at the right time, if it would have went any quicker, I don't know if it would have worked out as good.
Yeah.
You kind of need that struggle. You kind of needed all those
Totally.
things in order to get to where you are now.
Totally. So then with marketing, I could tell brands. Like, I always knock on doors.
Yeah.
That's one thing like I've learned that no one does.
Yeah.
And if you're the first one like knocking on the door, like being humble and like saying like, "Hey, let's do this," instead of saying, "Hey, I'm a photographer. I charge $1,000."
Yeah,
Like,
and it's like you in person is going to stand out better than you on an email or an Instagram
oh
DM.
yeah, exactly. I learned the lesson. Like, I've sent so many emails,
Right.
and I still do, right?
Right.
But from 100 emails, you'll get one reply,
Right.
right? So then I'm like, I have to do something else. Like, I hit them on Instagram, they don't reply. I search for the marketing director on Google. Like, you just Google everything,
Everything's
right?
a Google search away.
Like, for instance, if I want to work for Hot Topic,
Right.
just like an example, I'll go Google like Hot Topic marketing department, and then I'll find an email of the marketing director or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll be like, "Hey, I'm Neto. I'm a photographer. I'm a graphic designer. I know marketing. I loved your campaign that you did with certain photographer or certain brand or whatever.
Right.
I think we can do like something else. Like, let's do something more personal. Let's shoot a behind the scenes of a new campaign. Let me shoot the new shoes that you got." And then they're like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds cool."
Yeah, because you're not coming to them in a way of like, "Hey, can I have a job? What can you do for me?"
Yeah,
You're
no,
coming
no,
like, "Hey,
no,
here's the job, and here's what I can do for you, and here's why you need me.
Exactly.
Here's what I'm bringing to the table."
Exactly.
And that drowns out the other emails.
Yeah. So whenever I find the email of the marketing guy or the PR guy,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, of course, they don't reply.
Yeah.
So I search for the address of the headquarters, right? And I printed some zines, like with my work.
Right.
Like, I just made like a little magazine, like with pictures of like the concerts I've shot, fashion brands I've shot, and like made it more interesting instead of like an email. Like, here's a link to my Instagram. So I printed those. As a graphic designer, I'm like, I know how to do this.
Right.
Take pictures. Like, I love doing this. So I did that, and I sent it to headquarters. And then they get it. It has a message like saying, "I want to do this campaign with you. Like, I know how to do this. Like, check out my magazine."
Yeah.
And then they're like a bunch of them have said, "I've never received anything like this."
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's so easy.
Yeah.
Like, so easy to do. So, yeah, then they're like, "Yeah, you sound like an amazing guy." And as I said before, like,
It's
there's
so cool that your work like speaks for itself like that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so crazy. Like, I mean, I think like you have had a work ethic instilled in you since you were young, working at a supermarket when you were a kid.
Yeah,
You know what I
dude,
mean?
yeah.
Like me, because of my privilege, I had to learn that work ethic from hard work later. And I think that these obvious things that come from, you know, hard work, like, they're not so obvious to people who haven't had to work for those things.
Yeah.
And so I think you have an edge up on the competition of like knowing how obvious this is and knowing that your competition is sitting on their ass looking at Instagram complaining about why everyone else is doing something when you're
Yeah.
actually out there knocking on the door doing something.
Dude, I love that. I love that whole process.
Ah, it's so cool.
And I think it started because of necessity.
Yeah.
You know, like
exactly.
my mom said, like, if you want to go to New York, like find a way.
Yeah.
Like, all right, like I'll get money. And
Yeah.
right now, like paying rent and bills, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's necessity. But now I have talent and I know how to do work, right?
Yeah.
And I love working. So I contact the brands or people that I want to work with. Like, for instance, in Mexico, I was doing those logos for the gated community, right? Maybe
Right.
there's people that love that. I don't like it.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I love shoes. So let's contact this brand. Let's see if I can do something.
So with that with shoes, like, did the Vans Mexico, that never went away? Because you've always
No,
kinda-
yeah, I still shoot for them.
Exactly, yeah. So have you become more involved with them since you came to the States, or how has that relationship evolved?
I think that's hard. Like, for instance, if I had stayed in Mexico,
Right.
I think I would have worked for them, like, in-house.
Right.
Like, I would be the photographer for Vans in Mexico. But being here, I only work, like, once a month for them.
Just for
like,
an event or something.
Like, big gigs or big campaigns.
Right.
Sometimes they'll be like, hey, we just released the sneakers in Mexico, so we're going to fly you over here because you already have the whole concept of skateboarding and living in LA, and you're great photography, so we're going to fly you over here and just shoot the campaign.
Okay, yeah.
So I do that, or of course, here is where Vans headquarters is, right? This
Right.
is where it was born. So they'll have like competition, like skateboarding or BMX. So
Right.
they'll be like, oh yeah, our photographer Neto is in LA. So they'll hire me to do that gig. It's still freelance, but they have a guy who is me.
And they
Like
don't,
doing
and they
that.
don't have to fly a guy out. They already have someone in LA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's convenient for them,
Yeah.
and that's convenient for me. Like whenever they release the Vans videos, like skateboarding videos, they're like, "Oh yeah, Neto, go do this."
Yeah, you got to go to like the premiere of Propeller. a couple
Dude, that was
years back.
amazing. I met
Yeah.
like my idols there.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, I did a couple of pictures, and then I hang out with the skaters.
Mhm.
So then that opened to more jobs, right? Because then I became friends with them. And they're like, hey, let's shoot more. Or I have a wallet company. Like one skater does wallets, right?
Right.
Like I can do that. I have my own photo studio here.
Damn.
Like I have my lights. We can do like the product shots for your Shopify, for your online shop.
Yeah.
We can do some graphics. I can do the logo. No, I can do. Let's do a video. Let's do something cool.
Yeah.
So then that has opened a lot of doors.
It's like every little thing is just a trail to the next little thing.
Yeah.
To the big thing, to the back to the little thing.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
So with that being said, like, I mean, you know, with like say tattooing, you know, when times are good, they're good. When times are bad, they're bad. You don't know when the next tattoo's coming in. You live a very similar life. Like, how do you cope with that stress of like not knowing?
Like to be honest, as I said, I'm very anxious.
Yeah.
Right. Some months it's tough.
Yeah.
Like people can see like the Instagram, like my Instagram, and they'll be like, oh, this guy's shooting like concerts and doing all of this. Some months are so tough that I don't even have to like money to pay rent.
Right.
But then the next month, like I have more clients,
Yeah.
right? So I've learned how to cope with that, like, you know, just keeping it real, like know that it's not gonna be 100% good every month.
And you can't ever count or expect on the product. You have to pay your bills first, then blow your money. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
no, exactly.
That's been a hard thing for me still. You
Oh,
know
yeah?
what I mean? Yeah, I'm just bad at it because it's like, especially in such a cash business, you know, you have money in your wallet. And you're like, I have money in my wallet. And it's like, no, you don't. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you have to pay this, you have to pay tax, to pay that. It's like, and that's still like a hard thing for me. Yeah, that's still money management's still a tricky thing, you know?
Dude, it's super tricky, but you have to learn, like especially here,
Oh, yeah.
like with rent so expensive,
Mhm. It's
things
only
like
getting
that.
more and more and more.
And as an anxious person, I'm like, okay, the money that comes first goes for rent.
With me and a little bit of anxiety sometimes. So I've been, you know, anxious and stressed on not having enough business, but I've also been, I wouldn't say more or less, but I think I've been just as anxious or stressed on having too much business. And there's
Okay.
times where I will open my emails and fucking kill it. And there's times where it's like, I can't answer that email right now. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that tomorrow morning. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, cause it's like, sometimes it's just like overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, it's like, it's hard, you know, it's a lot.
Totally. Dude, I wish I had like tons of emails. I'll be like, I'll reply to that tomorrow. Like
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, dude.
But it's still a problem to have, you know? And it's
Yeah.
like
No,
more
of
money,
course.
more problems, and it's
Of course.
real, you know? It's
But
real.
yeah, and I've learned that it all depends to you. Like for instance, I've dealt with depression like
Yeah.
for so many years. And to the point that a couple of years ago, I was like in bed, like not wanting to go out, like even doing like concert photography was like, I just have to do this because like to get money. That's
Right.
it, right? But then it was only me who could help myself. Because like my wife has been always supportive, right? And she has dealt with stuff like that as well.
Right.
But she knows that it's only me that can seek for help, right? So, and it's okay not to be okay, you know?
Yeah.
So
everyone deals with depression and anxiety in some regard, yeah.
But then I realized, like, yeah, it's all in my head. It's me. So if 1 month I don't have jobs, like I'll just go knock on more doors.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. Like if some client doesn't want to work with me anymore because they have some other photographer or something else, like I'm not bummed. I'm like, it's fine. I'll just like right now, I'll find some other brand or some other client to work for. So I keep knocking doors. I think that's the thing now. Like you have to be constantly knocking on doors.
That's
Otherwise,
so fucking cool.
And especially like here, like there's a bunch of photographers, a bunch of really cool people. Like,
and that's going to be the thing that sets you apart from the others.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of great photographers, like better than me, like anywhere, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to do something. Like I need to keep knocking on doors.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like maybe they'd be better, but then maybe they're not going to work as hard. Maybe they're not going to knock on that door. That's how I look at tattooing too. It's like, I'm not going to be like, you know, proficient in every single style and be that you can't like compete with the world, you know, but you can make carve your own little path in your own little world, and hopefully people find that path. And I think it's like, I'd rather be like, you know, I just want to like stay in my lane and do that the best I can. Like, you know, maybe I'm not going to paint the best flash in the world, but maybe I paint more flash than that guy, or maybe yeah, it's same with like photography. It's like just do more, you know?
And do you like be yourself.
Yeah.
Because like if I was a wedding photographer, probably I'll be rich.
Right.
Like wedding photographers make so much money, like from only one wedding.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
And it's but I think that would be kind of back notice to wedding photographers. That's bread and butter for a lot of people. But I think it's also one of those things where it's like you're good at it, you have it figured out. The art becomes now it's a job. Yeah. And it becomes a job, and it becomes more of like a once you have that rhythm and that formula figured out, then you have it figured out. It's always the same gig, you know? Yes. And I think that it's easy money, but it's not something that's going to really like fulfill you.
Exactly.
You know?
That's what I'm looking for. Like just my main goal is happiness.
Yeah.
And I think that should be like for everyone.
Right.
But as like when I learned that was my main goal, being happy, I'm like,
because you can't just come to someone's wedding and be like, oh, we're gonna spice this up a bit.
Yeah,
I've done a bunch of these weddings. I know you want to be traditional. Let's do this.
No, and that's not my thing.
But you could do that with Vans, or you could do it with Hot Topic.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I can do that with them because I know their like brand. I'm part of their brand, you know. Like I wear the shoes. I know what's up with them.
Right.
And for Vans specifically, like they hire me because they know like I skate. I love tattoos. Love punk rock. They're like, this is your guy. Yeah. Like he knows the brand because he used the brand like when he was a young kid, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, I love doing that.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I could be like, I could get more money doing other things, but I'd rather just like keep it simple, like to the things that I love. Yeah. And I know eventually I'll have a ton of emails, hopefully. Right. Like, hey,
that's the most sustainable way to go about it anyways, because otherwise you're going to get burnt out and get depressed, and you're not going to be into you're not going to like photography anymore.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I'm trying like to do only the things I like.
Yeah.
And there's jobs for everyone. Like that's one thing I talk to with photographers. Mm-hmm. Like I would love to hang out with other photographers, but the photographer scene in LA, it's like they don't want to hang out with you because they think you're going to steal their clients or some things like that. Right. But in my perspective, it's like, no, let's work together. Let's do things together. There's clients for everyone.
So has that been like some of the like motivation behind the YouTube channel?
Yeah. Like I started doing a YouTube channel because I want people to know that there's a community. There's people willing to help.
And if there's not, maybe you want to make one.
Yeah. I would love for everyone like to just trust each other, because as I said, there's clients for everyone. You're not going to steal my client. And even if you do, like, there's more clients, you know?
And ultimately, it just means that you were lacking an apartment that they fulfilled that you couldn't. And instead of harboring animosity, you look at, okay, what could I should have done or could have done that could have kept that client? Exactly. That makes you a better photographer in the end, you know?
Exactly. So I'm doing the YouTube channel teaching. I'm doing it in Spanish. Yeah. And I'm teaching younger photographers or people that are getting into photography how to contact brands. Like, there's no secrets on that.
Yeah.
I want to help everyone. And because I wish I had someone that would be like, hey, if you knock on the door or if you do a magazine, they'll hire you.
Absolutely, yeah.
But there was no one there, you know?
I totally get that.
And
yeah.
it's still hard. Like, I contact some photographers in LA and they're just like ego over here is like very, like they have their ego over here.
You don't have enough social currency. You don't have enough followers to be able to hang
followers.
out.
I hate that.
God, that's so lame.
I hate it. And I'm like, I'm not trying like to learn like your secrets. Like,
Right.
let's have a beer. Let's talk about photo. Or let's just talk about life.
I just want to nerd out in photography with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I'm trying to do the YouTube channel.
Right.
I'm trying to tell people there's a community. There's people willing to help. And if you have any questions, like, I can help, you know? I said before, like, if you have like 1 minute to take a picture of your food and post it to Instagram, you have 1 minute to help someone. And you know, like, probably you've received like so many messages from people saying like, hey, how did you open your shop? Is it hard?
Right.
Just like replying to them like, yes, it's super hard, but if you really want it, you can make
Right.
a great shop. You
The
know?
hard thing with that is, like, I think from having some sort of influence, you can kind of weigh out the questions. Tattooing's different. I don't know. Maybe it's not, but tattooing is very much more close kept. Tattooing is like, photography is something you learn in a school. Tattooing is something you don't.
Exactly.
You know
No,
what I
I
mean?
understand that.
Yeah. So it's like, there was like, I'd like really like work and earn my knowledge. And so I'm very like close kept on just giving it out. And I think, I don't know. Yeah. It's a different world.
It's totally different.
It's a different world, but in very many ways, it's such the same world. And I think that one of the things I learned in my apprenticeship was like, I wasn't allowed to ask a lot of questions, you know, and it's all based on the value of the question, the way it was asked.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times when people ask a question, they don't really know what they're asking, or even if you told them the answer, they wouldn't know what to do with it anyways.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think you have to kind of work for the question. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, I think one thing I've mentioned a million times, and I don't want to like, I don't know. I've only done so many podcasts, so maybe it's safe to say it now, but I may end up repeating myself with this a million more times down the road. But like, I remember in like my first couple weeks of my tattoo apprenticeship, I was watching my mentor. He did like black and gray stuff, and he lay out like a bunch of ink caps of all the different like gray washes for the portrait.
Yeah.
And I'd asked him how many drops were in that third ink cap. He said, "What's that?" I said, "How many drops were in that third ink cap?" 'Cause I was trying to count them. You know?
Okay.
And he said, "How many push-ups can you do?" I was like, "I don't know." So I do like 13 or 14 push-ups, you know. He's like, "All right, what's your question?" And I was like, "How many drops from the third ink cap?" He's like, "Go do 13 burpees in the middle of the street." So I go out in the middle of the street, and, you know, doing them. They're taking pictures, laughing at me. And I come back in. He's like, "What was that question?" I was like, "Oh, I have no question." He's like, "Good." He's like, "Sit back and watch." And I watched him do a portrait all day long, 10 hours, you know, like trying to stay awake, watching him sit there and blend that gray on that neck of that Marilyn Monroe face. And then ultimately, you know, it was like the next day, or it was maybe, I don't know how many, I'll say it was the next day. I was watching, and I was paying attention, I was fucking counting. And he asked me, he said, "How many drops from that third ink cap, Wayne?" And I said the answer. He's like, he didn't say good, because I didn't earn good. I should have been paying attention.
Yeah.
I was there to fucking learn. And if he's going to do this in front of me, and I'm not going to pay attention, then why do I deserve the answer to be told? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I should
Totally.
be paying attention, you know? And I wasn't. And why should you receive that knowledge if you don't even value the knowledge? And I think that this was like a major, like, looking back, this was like a huge, like, Mr. Miyagi moment.
Yeah.
Where it's like, looking back, it's like, you know, my apprenticeship is going to end someday, and I'm going to do a tattoo, and my mentor is not going to be there to show me how to shade this thing or ask that question. You're going to have to figure things out for yourself. And I think that with tattooing, like, you know, you have to be fairly creative, and you have to have an eye. Like, it doesn't even matter, like, just because you can draw doesn't mean you can tattoo. Just because you tattoo, some doesn't mean you can draw. But it's ultimately an eye, you know? And you need to have an eye for what looks good and what doesn't. And some people just don't have that eye. They need to have an eye that can pay attention. And some people just can't pay attention. And just because they want something doesn't mean that they deserve to have it. And I think that some of the times I get asked questions, I will not give it my time of day because I feel like their question didn't deserve my time.
Yeah, I got it.
But there are questions that do come across my emails, and I'll give them the time because I feel like they deserve that time. Because I think time is very valuable.
Totally.
And ultimately, like, what do I owe them anyways?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is this doing for me? It's not fulfilling anything in me. You know what I mean? So it's like, so I'm very like cautious on who I share info with, you know? But I think that's just the way I was taught with tattooing.
No, and as you said, it's very different.
It is.
Like the questions I get is like, what lens did you use?
Right.
Right. I mean, I don't mind sharing like.
But
what
ultimately,
lens.
it's not different because like if I laid it all out, if I didn't have these morals that I was taught, if I said, okay, everyone, I use this paint, these colors, I use this paper, I use these needles, these machines, and I reference these books.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers wouldn't be able to tattoo like me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like if you tell everyone I use these lenses, this body, you know, this mic, this backdrop, I shoot in this setting, blah, 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 this ND filter. Motherfuckers are not gonna be able to shoot like you. So ultimately, like by you giving it out, like only the people who deserve it or are asking the question and paying attention, it's only gonna be received by so many people anyways.
Exactly.
But people just want to be sold stuff so bad that they don't care.
I know.
But I think that if someone's like, I don't know, I just feel like a lot of the times I get the questions, I feel like they're really not warranted or worth answering. But,
no, I get it totally.
Yeah.
And like for instance, as you said, like even if they use the same camera as me, they won't get the shot because more than just like the equipment or the tattoo machine or the needles, it's like everything, like your backstory.
Right.
Like the books you've read, the movies you've watched, the tattoos you've seen, the tattoos you have, like everything, how you grew up, right? Like for instance, in photography, like to be honest, like a bunch of like I love watching movies, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember like frame by frame, like my favorite movies. And then of course, like that sticks in my head. And unconsciously, I'm trying to recreate that, you know? And then I'm like taking a picture. And then that picture is not like because I used a different lens.
Because you watched that movie.
It's because I watched a movie. And
it's caught that angle from that cinematographer.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
And people have different, like they grew up differently or they watch different movies, they read different books or whatever they do in life, you know?
So I have a question with that. So I know that, for example, there, you know, in tattooing specifically, there is an abundance of amazing tattooers. Like, you know, and I think we talked about this earlier with business. Like, you know, there was a time where I was good enough to be a tattooer. Then there was a time where you had to be a good tattooer. Now it's not good enough to be a good tattooer. Yeah. Same with photography. Like, you know, maybe the thing that sets you apart is not only that you're a good photographer, that's the entry level position you need to be in, but the hard work that you want to put in that they're not willing to put in. And that only happened because you had to earn it and they didn't. But everyone has to have like a niche with it. I think, I forgot where I was even going with that.
Personality. Because like for instance, there's a bunch of really good tattoo artists, right? Yes. But I don't follow them or I don't.
Ooh, I remembered it. Okay. I remember it. Can I have it back?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. So I almost, people will tell me, have you heard of this tattooer? And it's like, I don't want to look them up.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll see them and their work is good. And maybe that's why I won't follow them, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to focus on what's happening right now. I want to focus on what I want to make right now. And I want to keep my focus because inspiration, I have no lack of it. Motivation, I only have so much of it.
Yeah.
So it's like for me to achieve what I want to achieve, I need to kind of stay in my lane. I don't want to be distracted sitting on Instagram looking at other tattooers instead of paying attention to how I want to make my shit. So it's like, I find that like there is an abundance, I don't know, and I think that, again, the people asking the questions are the people who are wasting their time watching and shit and not actually going out and getting it.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that completely.
And so that's why I almost don't value it. So that's why I do value the person fucking knocking on my door and not the person DMing me, because that person that's in front of me, they're in front of me right now. You know what I mean? The person and the person that, even in the emails, they keep bugging me. Now I remember their fucking name. God damn it. Now they're in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like persistence is king. You know what I mean? Totally. Hard work, there is no replacement for it.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you have like, if you have a lot of money and you buy the best equipment and tattoos or cameras,
right?
Like you won't do shit.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're just scrolling like Instagram, like, oh, cool tattoo from Canada, oh, Russia, whatever,
right.
You know?
Yeah.
But like actually like stop looking at that and just do like what's on you.
So with photography, do you find yourself trying to distance yourself from like other photographers, but then you're not because you're trying to get in? So how do you weigh that out with wanting community but also trying to stay in your lane?
Okay. I don't follow like a lot of photographers.
Right.
I do the ones that I respect by their personality,
Right.
not their work.
So do you think that photographers are just doing that to you, and that's why it's not community?
Maybe
your community is just as closed off as my community.
Yeah, I think so.
That's crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, that can be.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, I want to distance myself because like even if you don't want to, like if you see a portrait, then like you're doing that same portrait. You're like, fuck, I saw that on Instagram last week. Like, okay, get off Instagram and like do your thing. Like just breathe for a second, like meditate if that's your thing. Just like connect with yourself and do your thing.
Right.
You know? And yes, I try to distance myself from like watching on Instagram like a bunch of photographers. I follow the photographers that I admire because of their personality. As I said, there's a bunch of really good photographers.
Right.
And like as you know, there's a bunch of good tattoo artists. But if they're like bad people or they have like a bad energy, like I don't want that.
It ruins it.
It ruins it like forever.
Yeah.
Right? So I follow the people that I know they're like humble or nice or whatever, and they're hard workers. So I respect that. And the photography is like second. Like oh yeah, that's a great picture, but like you're a great photographer. But like I respect more that you're nice to everyone around you.
Have you found yourself like kind of paralyzed by too much influence like I have, like kind of just getting stuck at being too influenced, like all right, I do need to distance myself and kick back?
Yeah, I learned that because I was like, you know, like you have your phone with you 24 hours, so you're like scrolling on Instagram and then you're like looking at other tattoos or photographers, and then you don't become yourself. I
think you just need to know what you want to be influenced by and where to get your influence from.
Yeah,
and
totally.
stay with that. You know, like I'm not gonna, in the tattoo world, I'm not gonna influence so-and-so's redo of a Sailor Jerry. I'm gonna go reference Sailor Jerry. I'm gonna find out where Sailor Jerry got it or where that guy got that from. You know, like I want to kind of like, I don't know, but in the end, like especially with photography, it is marketing. So like having your own style is kind of secondary to the money aspect. Like you kind of want to have the same style because that style does sell. So it must be hard kind of sneaking your style in when they need this ad done this way, you know?
Super hard. Yeah. Super hard. But also like coming back to that Instagram thing.
Yeah.
Like there would be days that I'm like scrolling for an hour.
Right.
I'm like, I just wasted an hour.
I sat down to pee. What am I still doing here?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I could have, like, in that hour, I could have done a vlog, or I could have learned how to podcast, or I could have knocked on more doors and get more clients.
Right.
You know? And yeah, Instagram is cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
and especially now with this content, you don't really have to necessarily walk on doors because you could just Google or how to.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the door is now theoretical.
Yeah. Totally.
You know what I mean?
Use Instagram the right way.
Yeah.
And yes, there's a bunch of people that just want to know what lens you use or what needles you use, and they're not gonna do anything.
Right.
And they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, I can have this and I'll buy it. They'll never tattoo. Or they'll never like go through an apprenticeship and things like that. I think people just want to be like their main goal, like if they want to be a tattooer, they want it to be a tattooer right now.
Yeah.
Like buy the machines and tomorrow like start tatting.
Yeah.
And
everyone's looking for a shortcut.
Exactly. And that's not how it works. Like the whole process, it's how you learn to do your
Things
art.
take time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, the shortcut or the homie hookup is the worst deal you can get.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
And I didn't get that, like that's one thing I didn't understand until I owned my own business and things like that. Even when I was going through my apprenticeship, I didn't want to go through that apprenticeship. That was just the way I got in. You know what I mean? Like I didn't value it. There was other tattooers that weren't working as hard as me that, were deemed the title professional sooner than me. And I was very envious, Yeah. And I mean, for better or for worse, like I went through what I went through. It's just the way I came into my own, but now I'm super grateful for it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I didn't know it then. You know what I mean? And I think patience has to be learned as well.
Patience is the most amazing thing, and being grateful.
Yeah.
Like you having that opportunity to be an apprentice.
Yeah.
You learned so much, like the whole process till the end. That's what mattered.
Well, my only regret was the end. Like I left, like I apprenticed for 3.5 years. I stayed there for 4 years and I dipped. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I didn't understand at the time. It was just kind of like, I had this opportunity. Why would I not take it? You know?
Yeah.
And my mentor, you know, on his end is like, you know, what the fuck? You've only been with me for 6 months. Like, you learned and now you're dipping. I'm like, I've been here for 4 years. He's like, yeah, but you just finished your apprenticeship 6 months ago. And I, at the time, naively was like, you don't get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And looking back now, I was like, fuck, I didn't get it. This dude has been tattooing for like, at the time, for 17 years.
Holy
you know what I mean? Now 27, you know what I mean? And like, everything, you know, he was there day in, day out. Like, I got whatever I wanted out of that. It was all there. And it wasn't always silent, no answers thing. That was the beginning. Eventually, it was an open book situation, you know? And it's like, you know, he everything's there. I can take what I want. I could have came out of that and learned nothing. And I could have came out of that and became a master. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I came out kind of somewhere in the middle. And I don't even tattoo like him. But I think that where I fucked up is that I was seeking the end. I was seeking the shortcut. I was already wanting that title. I think that I'd be a much better tattooer today if I worked there for at least a couple years longer.
And did you ever get back to him, like saying like, hey, I messed up? Like,
No. Yeah, to this day, I never spoke to him. So the shop that I worked at, you know, I was apprenticing under him, but there was other people working there, obviously. So I'm learning bits and bits from this and them and this and that. And but yeah, when I left, I did with the most respect I could. I walked in and told him I was leaving, and you know, we had our words and shit like that. And I got my stuff and I got out and we didn't talk after that. And I think at the time I almost, with the way things were handled, you know, I won't go into too many details, but I kind of felt like he was in the wrong, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
And I think rightfully so. He thought I was in the wrong, you know? And I think both of us possibly wanted an apology. And enough time had gone by to where an apology didn't really seem beneficial.
Okay.
You know?
It's valid.
And, you know, just two different worlds, two different times. But through the tattooers I'd worked with, they all kind of told me that, you know, he's kind of asked about me and how I'd been, and they told him, and he just kind of nods his head and stuff like that. And I think if he had something bad to say, he would say it.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And if we had our problems, they would have been sorted. And I think that they were sorted. And I think I would like to reach out, you know, one day and like, you know, just tell him like, thank you. You gave me a career. You know what I mean? I didn't get that then. But I don't know. Just so much time has gone by, and I think I just can't help but feel like it'd be kind of disingenuous to reach out. I don't know. I just don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Or I mean, you don't have to do it, you know, but
distance happens with time.
Yeah.
And it's just been so much time and so much distance. It's just, I don't know. It's just such a foreign thing, you know, to even do. So, you know, for me now, it's kind of like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm worrying about what I'm worrying about. I'm sure he's worrying about what he's worrying about. Yeah. But, yeah, I am super grateful, but I didn't know it. I didn't know it for a long time.
Yeah, well, me too. Like when I was younger.
And how can I expect young people to get it?
Of course.
You kind of have to live it. You kind of have to go through it.
And it's hard. Like I feel like when we were younger, it was different.
Yeah.
Like right now, like with Instagram and social media, you see that you can make anything happen. Right. But they want it now.
Yeah.
Like they want that thing now. If they want a podcast, they want it like right now.
Yeah.
They don't want like to learn like how to do it, like how it works or anything like that.
Right.
And that takes time. And I feel like when we were younger, we need to like go through the whole process of everything.
Huh. So what do you have going on now? What are you doing now? You have your own like little studio you're doing stuff at, right?
As a photographer, like I can do a bunch of stuff. Like I love working with clothing companies. Mm-hmm. So they can hire me like to do the product shots. I have my studio for that. I have my lights, everything. And they can hire me doing that, or they can do lifestyle shots, like just on the street, like wearing their clothes, right? Like just like casual. Because nowadays everyone needs content. Right. So that's great for photographers.
Yeah, there's no shortage of that, huh?
No.
Even if they have their photographer, maybe they're busy doing something else. You're always there in the background.
Yeah, no one has like only one photographer.
Right.
Like I've learned that. So that's why I keep saying like there's clients for everyone. Because even if they have their main guy, like they still need more pictures, more content. Yeah. So right now I'm doing a lot of e-commerce shots. They send me clothes. I put the clothes in my studio. I send them over, and they put it on their Shopify or whatever, right? And I do a lot of lifestyle shots as well. They send me product and I take pictures. I get models and yeah, I pay the models and then I get some money. And
what's your favorite stuff to do?
I like a lot of stuff.
Is it always changing? You gotta keep it moving.
Like I love concert photography.
Yeah.
Because it's like I think that's the most difficult type of photography because light.
You don't get a second try either.
No.
And you're just with the elements.
And the thing is like they only allow you to shoot the first 3 songs.
Why is that? They have people coming in now, or?
I feel like.
Is that a standard thing?
That's a standard thing.
Really?
Like in Mexico, here, I've shot like different parts of United States, like Austin, Texas.
Why is that?
I feel like the artists don't want anyone in between the crowd and them. Because the artist is playing for the crowd. So if there's someone in between, like usually the photographers, we have like a special area in between the crowd and the musicians.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're there, I feel like we're annoying, to be honest.
So you had your time, now it's their time.
Yes. And as a photographer, you need to know that. Like those guys behind you, they paid money to watch their show. So don't be a douchebag and be like with your hands like this taking a picture. Like the young girl or whoever is behind you, they're paid money to watch the show.
Right.
So they only allow you to shoot the first 3 songs. And as a photographer, you need to know that. So, and light changes every second. Like it's so fast. And the guy, like the musicians, they jump, they run around. So you need to be on the lookout. So it's an adrenaline rush.
So are you just tapping that button blindly, or are you just like trying to capture things, anticipate movements?
The thing is like, well, what I do is I study the band before I go to their concert.
You know that jump move he does at that song.
Dude, yes.
Yeah.
Like if I'm shooting, I don't know, I shot Anti-Flag, right? And I knew exactly where the bass player jumps. But I learned that like watching YouTube videos. Right? So I'm like, I know exactly where he's going to jump.
It comes back full circle into you being a fan of the band. Whereas if you didn't like the band, you don't know what they're doing. You don't know how to shoot that show.
Yeah. But even though, like, if I don't like the band, I research.
Right.
Like every time, like research is like it's great. You have to do research.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just shooting blank.
Yeah.
You don't know their music. You don't know like their style, anything. So I watch YouTube videos and like just 30 minutes of that. And then you'll be like, okay, I'm good to go.
Wow.
And then just hope they play that song in the first 3 songs. Just shoot. And you learn their style through doing your research. So you know how they move, you know if they run around, you know if they jump, you know if like where the bass player is. So yeah, and you need to know your camera very well, like your settings and everything.
So if you're a fan of that band, is it like, does it take away from like, do you enjoy shooting a show of a band that you like, or do you want to be present and not have to work, or is it work? How is that?
It's super difficult. When I shoot concerts, I don't enjoy the show.
Right.
Because like I'm in my head. I don't even listen to what they're playing. But it's because I'm trying to get the shot. Right. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I want to shoot the concert, or sometimes I'm like, I want to be in the crowd.
Yeah.
Just enjoying the show.
Well, luckily it's only 3 songs, right?
Yeah, but then like
you have your camera with you still.
Yeah, you have to carry your gear, and when you're in the back, like you still can take pictures. So
you need like a photographer locker, so you could just like throw in the locker and stage dive.
Yeah, dude, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But when you're in the back, like with the whole crowd jumping, you want to take those shots too. Like if there's someone like crowd diving, is it called?
Yeah, crowd surfing.
Crowd surfing.
Stage diving.
You want to take that shot.
Yeah.
Right? Like the guy like crowd surfing
Those
and
are
the
some
band
cool
in the back.
shots, yeah.
Yeah. So as a photographer, you never stop working. Well, at least like not me. Like I went to a show, I was taking pictures. And then I'm like, okay, I finished my pictures. I got the shots I wanted. I got the shots like the media wants. So let's enjoy the show. And I couldn't. Like there was so many cool things happening. I'm like, I want to get that guy like with the band in the back. So I'm like pulling my camera. I'm not even listening to the song. And yeah, but I love doing that. But yeah, sometimes I'm like, okay, this band, I just want to go like enjoy the band.
The ideal thing would be like, go see the band you want to see, and then catch their show the next night, and now you know how to shoot it.
Dude, yeah, that would be amazing.
The move. Like they're playing 2 nights at the Palladium. First night shoot.
Yeah.
Or no, first night enjoy, second night shoot.
Or I would love like touring with a band.
That'd be cool.
Because then you learn when to take the pictures.
Then you're a real pro at that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it down.
But I haven't had any of that gigs yet.
Right.
Would
you accept something like that?
Yeah. I would love to tour.
That's cool.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good photographers that tour with bands.
Keep going to that taco truck. Maybe Davey Havoc will hit you up.
I would love that. That would be amazing.
Right.
But yeah, I think concert photography is the one I enjoy the most.
Yeah.
And then portraits, just going out, just walking around and taking pictures for certain brands, like t-shirts, shoes.
That's cool.
Everything like that.
Let's take a break. I need to go pee.
Cool.
All right. All right, we're back. I peed. Neto didn't.
I did not.
You're only halfway with that mocha, so maybe that's
No,
why.
dude, I'm already like shaking
From the caffeine?
from the caffeine.
I can't do it. I'm sensitive to it big time. Like, I can do it, but I have to be... It can't be a beginning of the day. It needs to be like a middle of the day or a full stomach situation.
Yeah.
And it has to be... Yeah, I my chest gets tight, I get anxiety, I get shaky. It's not good for me. I don't know.
It's not good for me either.
Right.
Like right now I'm shaking. But
I thought you were just cold. It's a little bit both.
a little bit both. But yeah, more like the caffeine thing.
Yeah.
But one thing that caffeine does for me, like it gives me like the energy to talk, right?
Yeah.
And as an anxious and shy person, like I need that like to...
Gives you a little pep in your step.
Yeah, exactly.
Gets you moving.
Totally.
That's cool.
That's why I got the coffee, but yeah, I'm not going to drink anymore.
You
of
don't
that.
need it. You're killing it.
Cool.
So where were we? What were we talking about?
Like building a community.
Yeah, so building a community. So building a community with the YouTube thing. So what if you did something like this with the podcast thing? Because it's like the community thing, I think if you're doing this YouTube thing, which is great, and I want you to keep doing it, and I think you need to do some stuff in English.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
dude, I'm gonna.
Because like you speak, you can put out double the content. I only speak English. If I spoke Spanish, I put out videos in Spanish too. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And like if video's good enough to where I'll watch it and read it, you know, and if it's that good, then like if you can swing both ways, have some Spanglish things jumping off.
Yeah.
But I think that what you're doing is like informative, and people are it's searchable, and people will learn what they need to learn. But the community is going to rely on the comments between them and them only.
Yes.
You're never going to be a part of that symbiotic thing. And you're not really selling something to them other than just giving to them. Yeah. But if you did do something like this is in a way where you could sit down with someone and you could learn from that someone.
Of course.
And so you have that physical community, and then they have their community learning from that. And it's something that is all kind of, it's like a love triangle.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that'd be really good. But I mean, I wanted to originally do this podcast and interview mainly tattooers. And the main way it stemmed from was me traveling. My wife would always mention, you know, I would come back inspired, and she'd be like, you need to tell their story. You need to make a video about them. And it's just like holding a camera in someone's face who's not on camera. It's not always the best. Weird. You know what I mean? And so the podcasting was something I didn't really even consider it, but I knew that there were stories to be told. And so I had an idea of like, okay, eventually came the idea, like, what if I travel and I do some kind of podcast thing? Just so like it's that love triangle I'm trying to see between the comments, me and them, but ultimately a way of me learning and hearing that tattooer's story, and also their story needs to be told. You know what I mean? Totally. I want to hear it. They want to hear it. They need to hear it. You know, and it's like, you know, they're benefiting. I'm benefiting. You know, my audience is now following them. Their audience is now following me. It's like I feel like there's not enough of it happen, so I'm gonna make it happen. But as I started to grapple with this idea of doing the podcast thing, I realized that I have so many friends that are so fucking interesting, and I'm interested in so many things other than tattooing. Like, why do I want to start this off with already being like stuck in a niche? You know what I mean?
Totally.
And I think that, I don't know, it's just like, I don't care. I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it because it's an excuse to hang out with you right now. You know what I'm saying?
Amazing. I love that.
Yeah. So
that's how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Like money will come.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. So I think like, so with me and my podcast, I just want to sit down with friends and have an excuse to sit down with friends. And if there's something interesting to be told, that I think the people who are following what I'm following may be interested in hearing that.
Yeah.
Because maybe I am as well. And, if it's listened to, cool. If it's not, cool. Whatever. I mean, it'll sell itself. Like with my tattooing, I'm just doing what I like. I'm attracting people that like that. With you, ultimately, from you doing what you do, like you have this skilled background, but you're putting out this content, and people are wanting that. You know?
Totally.
So I think like, I don't know, anyone can do it.
Dude, I love, like, to be honest, like I remember you telling me like I want to get into podcasts.
Yeah. I'm
like, okay, I knew nothing about it. Like, I listened to podcasts.
Yeah,
right?
I reached out to you right away. I was like, Neto probably knows something about this.
Dude, I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I love that from you. Like, you're passionate.
Yeah.
Right. And even like, if you don't get help from anyone, like you'll like find a way.
Right.
Right. Like maybe like doing research.
But you will too, because you're more tech savvy and you know more about cameras and audio than I do. So if I can somehow stumble my way through this, you're going to fucking fly through it and make me look stupid.
No.
It's going to be tight. You should.
I do. Like now, like when I first arrived to the shop and looked at the microphones, I'm like, this is amazing.
Right.
Like, I want to do this. And now, like, doing this podcast with you, I'm like, I feel like this would be like an amazing way to build a community.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a photographer that doesn't want to hang out with me because he has a big following or because he lives somewhere else, I'll be like, hey, whenever you're in LA, like, I'm doing a podcast about photography or about art or passionate people or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's learn about each other. Like, let me hear your story.
It's just another knock on the door, because now
Exactly.
you have a pull that they're not getting asked to be interviewed by so and so.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it will help them as well. You know, like you're building content for them,
Right.
Like through the podcast, they can be like, oh, I was in Wayne's podcast. Like, tune up. You know,
Right.
You're helping me. I'm like helping you as well. And yeah, you're building a great community. And
Yeah,
I
that's
love
neat.
the idea that you're not doing only tattoo artists.
Right.
Like, as you said, like there's a bunch of great stories out there, and at the end, it's like passionate people.
Yeah, and I feel like it'd be insincere, like, for me to try to, like, I don't know. It's just like, it'd be insincere, and it wouldn't always be interesting. I just think I'm interested in more things than just drawing on people. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And I think, I don't know. I think my YouTube channel, it was also supposed to be something that was mainly like me in the shop doing my thing, sharing little bits of it. And so when people would come in, they kind of already understood the world that they were sold on. You know what I mean? Like they've already kind of seen me paint that design, and now they feel comfortable because, like, oh, I saw you paint that design. They know how much I charge, how I walk, how I talk. It's already sold.
Yes.
They come in and they're like, I want that. You know, it's easy. And, you know, and then as it went on, it was something where it's like, I can only do the same thing so many times, you know?
Yeah.
And it gets boring for me. And it's like, I'm not just in the shop 24 hours a day, you know? Like, there's other times in my day, there's other things I'm interested in. So now my channel's been like me and my friends and my family and where I go and what I do and whatever. And I think that it's inevitable for the podcast to have to do the same thing.
Of course.
You know? And so this is just if someone wants to hear or listen or watch more content, there's more of it now. I love it. You know?
Dude, I'm serious. Like, I love it so much that tonight I'm going to do research on, like, microphones and...
All I want is when you figure out something, you come, Wayne, you need to get this, because I'm plateaued right out the gate. You know?
Yeah. I remember that happened with the vlog.
Yeah.
Like, when you started vlogging, you were like, what camera do you use?
Yeah.
And then, like, new cameras went on sale. I'm like, Wayne, like...
Right.
Check out the new GoPro or check out the new microphone. Like,
right.
Use this.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, right now, have you seen that DJI Osmo Pocket?
I have.
Dude.
But the audio seems like garbage on it, dude.
I know.
Fuck. If that was figured out, that would replace my fucking setup.
Dude, totally.
You know what I mean?
I thought the same thing.
And with me trying to do this like daily vlog thing just for the month of December, the way I've hacked it and figured out the way I've been able to sustain it is by opening up on my iPhone, filming small shots on my iPhone, then getting the shots that I really want to show in a way that needs to be shown nicely, that is shown on my camera.
Yeah,
and so like being like stuck in the iOS universe, I just airdrop that shit to my Mac. I put it right in there, and then I just I put my SD card, boom, put it together. I can edit it now in an hour, 2 hours. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah. Whereas before, it's like I was trying. The effort I was putting in isn't even being received or noticed by the person watching, you know, like the multiple angles, like, you know, I'd get like a GoPro shot and then a camera shot, and I'd have like, you know, the far away shot, and then I would try to sync them together. So it's like, all right, we're going to start, and then boom, close up GoPro. And that shit is cool. But it's like when I'm putting out a video every day, something's got to give. If you want quantity, quality is going to be sacrificed a little bit,
you
know?
Totally. But you know what? That's cool for us, like those shots and everything, right? Because we want it perfect.
Right.
But most viewers, they're with you for your personality.
Right.
Like, even if you record like with a flip phone,
right,
like they'll still watch.
If they wanted really good quality, they would just go watch TV.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's why YouTube is like the realest thing you can get.
Dude, that's the real, like the real deal.
Yeah.
Like, yes, those shots are amazing. And I used to think like that.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I want a drone because I want to shoot like behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah.
Like, no, like chill out.
Right.
And just like just be you. Like,
and also those things just create more barrier to entries and more things stopping your motivation from getting them done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like they say, like the best camera is the one that you use, you know? And
100%.
ultimately if like that DJI Osmo had good audio, that thing would be in my pocket. I'd shoot every goddamn thing with it.
I know.
But it's like, you know, if it sounds bad, no one's going to watch it. If it looks bad and has decent sound, you will get through it. And I think like, especially the difficult thing that I face, that I think no one else on this platform faces with their video day in life vlogging thing, is tattooing itself. You know, I use noisy ass machines. You know what I mean? There's no way to fix it. So it's like, if I'm having a really good conversation with my client that I deem valuable, you know, there is a going right between it, you know? So it's like, if I want to have good audio across the room, well, it's going to capture the room, the noises in the room, the background music, the talking, the fucking door shutting, the tattoo machine, then the voices, you know? And then it's like, okay, well, I do shotgun mic and it's directional. That is better. Or say I want to do like a lav mic. Well, that's like actually worse because it's close to my face, but it's just as close to the tattoo machine.
I know. Yeah, no, that's insane.
God. So there's like no goddamn way. So it's like, so though DJI Osmo would be good for like grocery store, airport, walking around, whatever, the core of the channel, why the people are there, I think, tattoos, at least why they initially come to the channel, it wouldn't perform in that department with the audio. It'd be a waste.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree with you.
And I think that if I was out and about walking around and I'm using it, want to talk and it's windy, I'm fucked. The audio's bad again. But I saw an updated video today and I guess like DJI released like a couple like updates and the audio is already a little bit better than it was.
I saw them too because I become obsessed.
Yeah, I was watching all the videos too.
That.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you say, like the best camera you can have is the one you already have.
But if you look at the DJI, like the thing they put out a year or two, that giant like version of it,
it's
like that, and then now to this. So it's like I'm just holding out just a couple more years.
That's insane.
Because there's no way they don't have it fucking figured out. Like they know what people want, and it's almost there, you know. But it's like I want to buy a Tesla in 4 years, not 4 years ago. So I'm waiting for that DJI Osmo Pocket to be like. Maybe just a year. It moves quick, right?
It's so quick, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep trying to check because I'm like, okay, maybe there's some kind of like dongle situation with some kind of small mic, and I that's why I'm keeping up with it ultimately because I did see there was some cool like I think Rode made it. It was like a little tiny mic that plugs into the bottom of your iPhone.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
And so I'm like,
I haven't tried it though, but
I guess it like plugs in, boom, there, and it's a little thing, you know. And I'm like, if that worked on the DJI Pocket, like I don't mind like another little inch. Like
I'm pretty sure they're gonna do something like that.
Right.
But
I just don't know if the firmware would recognize what was plugged in and like with the audio.
Oh, I see.
Because you can plug it in. Maybe there is a thing to plug in.
Yeah.
But will it actually even use it?
I have no idea. But anyway. Yeah, I'm loving the podcast. I want to do this.
Yeah.
I want to build a community. I want to get to know the story behind the people.
Yeah.
Like, how are they following their passion?
Yeah.
What is their daily routine?
Yeah.
Like, learn from them.
Yeah, and you can find inspiration everywhere. Like, I'm leaving inspired today, you know?
Dude, me too.
Yeah.
Like, totally. Like, I'm gonna go home and do some research and podcasts. I'm gonna edit more vlogs that I still have there.
Yeah. Neto has shit, like, sitting around not doing anything with it. You have some stuff.
I have 15 videos.
Fuck.
Like, I have concerts. I have a festival.
Dude.
I have what else, like cool photo shoots, like with cool brands that I have already the footage.
What you need to do is you need to hold yourself accountable and don't make it overwhelming. Just be like, okay, once a week, this time, blah, 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 make it happen. And then, okay, maybe 2 times a week or blah, blah, blah. And if you really hold yourself accountable, like maybe the quality will suffer, but maybe it's worth it suffering to get the quantity out, to get the people watching for you to catch up the quality later, you know?
Totally. And I have time. Like, we have like 24 hours during the day. Like, there's no excuse.
Right.
It's just like in my head. Like, I'm just putting myself like excuses that are not even there.
And they say like, you know, like big YouTubers suppose you don't read their fucking comments. Bullshit. Like I think comments have been the biggest motivator for me. You know, it's like you have a real time like live focus group, you know? And there is like trolls and like and people suck, but it's good to hear those opinions, you know what I mean?
Of course.
And sometimes like the ones that hurt the most are the realest, you know?
Yeah.
And you can choose what you want to listen to and what you don't want to listen to, but ultimately like, you know, it's right there. You know, and like at times that's kind of pushed me away too, because it's like I've kind of felt at times like, am I even like pandering to the audience I want to pander to? Am I even like really like showing up to who I want to show up? Is my audience but the thing is, on YouTube or anywhere, you can't really pick who likes your stuff.
No.
You could just put it out there. But it's like, at least with this platform right here, the podcasting, you can pick who you're speaking to.
Yeah.
Like, this experience is good enough. And then if the comments help, or I don't know. For me, I read my comments. And
I think everyone does.
yeah, and motherfuckers out there like trying to get a rise out of me, you will. I'm reading them. I'm seeing you. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty guilty of that too, because there's times where like I'm like, damn it, they got the best of me.
Oh my God.
That's all they wanted, and they got it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Back.
Like, you become vulnerable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so.
It's good, it's bad, but at the end of the day, you need like to just keep focused.
Yeah.
And do your thing. Like, don't stop doing things because of a comment or anything.
Right.
Especially like because I don't know, maybe the troll is like from somewhere else or like your neighbor, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think that the biggest struggle with me on the YouTube platform is like it's not really a community. It's not like a social media site. It's just a Google search.
Yeah.
So when someone leaves a comment, for better or for worse, I have no idea the value of that comment or where it came from or why it was left or who was left by. On Instagram, I can go look at that profile real quick, like
totally.
And YouTube, it's just a different world, But it's in many ways, I think it's the most rewarding of all the platforms because it doesn't take a lot to follow someone and look at their photo or watch their like couple seconds on their Instagram story.
Yeah.
But for you to want to watch them for 10 minutes, even if you hate watching them, it's like it's a lot of dedication.
That's crazy.
I mean, I'm only subscribed to like maybe 5 or 10 people. You know what I mean?
Too. I don't.
Yeah, and then like it takes me a lot of effort to like click that like button or leave a comment. It's pretty rare. So when people are really paying attention like that, it's really valuable because they're paying attention to what you're saying.
Dude, they're giving you an hour or 10 minutes,
and
or
it
whatever.
makes you wanna do that much more and motivate you that much more because hey, there's people that are paying attention.
Yeah.
On Instagram, they're not paying attention. They're following thousands of people, and if you don't post that day, they're not gonna notice.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And for instance, if they like their picture, I'm pretty sure like 10 minutes after that, they won't even remember what picture it was that you posted because we're just scrolling.
Right.
But YouTube, it's like dedication. It's like they're there for 10 minutes. That's crazy.
But maybe it's good, with you giving those like photography tips and things like that. They're going to people that maybe they really do want them because they're there, they're watching, they're listening.
Like, I am so grateful, even if I only have one view.
Yeah.
Right. Like, for instance, I have. I had 10 views in a video.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, "Oh, you should get more views." I'm like, just think about it. Like, it's
10 people watch
10 people. Like,
paid attention.
Like, imagine a room full with 10 people, and you're in front of them, like, talking. Like, oh, you can shoot concert photography like this. Like, 10 people. That's amazing.
It totally is.
That is so cool. And like, if they learn something, or if they become motivated or passionate, that's so cool.
Especially when you meet those people in real life and you see those repercussions in real life and goes like, oh shit, people are, because it's easy for me at least to disconnect, and then when I meet someone in real life that tells me how it's impacted them, it's like whoa, people are watching. I thought that was just a number. I just wanted a higher number. I didn't know people were like,
that's crazy.
I know those numbers were people. It's easy to forget.
And even if it's just one that you meet in real life, and it's like, because of you, like I knock on a door and I got a gig. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That makes you want to do more.
Yeah. So your Instagram is Neto Velasco. What's your YouTube? Same thing?
Same thing.
Oh, you're killing it.
Neto
that's
Velasco.
hard to do.
Yeah, but there's not that many Neto Velascos out there.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's good. Like, I'm blessed with the Wayne Fredrickson thing too.
Well,
that's
you know
cool.
what? Actually, for the Instagram, I had to pay.
No way.
There was already a Neto Velasco from Mexico.
Really?
So, well, I didn't pay. Like, I still had the shoes. So I said, like, hey, I really want your username because I'm Neto Velasco and I want to brand myself with my name. Like, I'll exchange your username for 2 pairs of shoes.
Sick.
So the guy was like, yeah, sure. Like, I don't care. Like,
Whoa.
I'll just do Neto Velasco 1971 or whatever.
Fuck yeah.
And then he just gave me the username and...
Dude, you're killing it. You're easy to find. There's no fucking underscores out there. There's no X's between words. Like, my boy is easy to find. So, Yeah, so you can find him on YouTube. He's already got some stuff up, and hopefully this motivates you to put more stuff up.
I will, for sure.
And then Instagram, everyone's active on there. You're active on there all the time.
Active.
And I'll throw your email in there too. So if you want to bug him and you want to set up a shoot, or you want him to design a logo, or even if you want to model for something he's already doing, you're in LA. You're not hard to get to.
No,
you know
I'm ready to collaborate.
Yeah.
Like, let's do shit together.
Yeah.
Like, I love doing things.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Dude,
I love
this
you, man.
is amazing.
You're incredible.
You're more incredible, man.
Thank you.
Dude, amazing.
Oh, thank you. This is so much fun.
Dude, I loved it.
Good times, right?
So good.
Such a solid excuse to hang out.
Dude, I freaking loved it.
That's cool.
Like, I'm being honest.